Okay, welcome back to The Verdict. Now, I'm going to ask Ladi to join me on this one because you usually know how you do it with Shehu when he comes in, Ladi.
Oh, no, Shehu is a lovely human being. Shehu, welcome back. Welcome in, all through. I think we can safely say that these elections will go on Saturday, don't you think?
I think Ladi is a prophet. Welcome. It's a lovely evening, and I think we should keep it that way. Our friendship, let us maintain that trajectory. It's a lovely evening.
This is emotional blackmail.
You're looking so bright.
I know when you are trying to insist that there's a friendship.
Really, there's a friendship between Ladi and I.
Once it starts up with
Trust
the friendship,
me, including yourself, Ijoma.
He's tying your hands. That's the Nigerian way. He's tying your hands.
All right. Some good news. As you know, the figures are coming in and pretty much. You remember that when I was speaking with the INEC National Commission, I was asking, when are we going to get the figures for the permanent voter card? Here they are. It's 48 hours or so to the elections. Oh, goodness gracious, we have them now. Let me unveil. For some of you who have seen, it looks better than the last election cycle. Yes. And, Ladi, yes, we have 72 million collected permanent voter cards. So if you put your mind to this, you might get it wrong. We've been doing our permutations based on this number right here, 84 million registered voters. Those are not the numbers that we should expect at the polling units. These are the possible numbers if they all turn up at the polling unit. You know, we've talked about the turnout of voters from 1999 up until 2015, and we did see that perhaps it was 2011, 2015, we didn't do well at all as a nation in terms of voter turnout. But if you look at this, 72 million permanent voter cards that have been collected. That gives you about 86% collection rate. And I will show you in a while why Southwest is disappointing in terms of the collection. They are the poorest percentage of collection. But if you look at the uncollected PVC, it's just a little mathematics. I'm very good at that one. Plus or minus. I can get that one straight. Though my mathematics, Ladi, don't make jest of me right now. Not very good in secondary school. But right here, when it comes to politics, I know my mathematics very well. So 11 million, that's what it gives us for the uncollected permanent voter card. If you ask me, that is enormous. A lot of uncollected permanent voter cards. This, you remember, 2 million is the difference between Muhammadu Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan. So if you have 11 million permanent voter cards uncollected, that is a lot. Remember that in some African countries, we don't even have as much population. So if you have uncollected PVC in the range of 11 million, that is a lot. Let's look at some other figures that will be interesting. So we've broken it down for you to see where we are. It does not look like anything has changed in terms of the registered voters and the permanent voter card. So for the politicians, this is the last day they can talk about anything partisan. So they may be looking at this figure. It's going to be very important for them. So Lagos State has the highest number of permanent, or let's say voters, for this 2019 election, because we will be working with this figure as much as we can within all through this period. Over 5 million, 5.5 million permanent voter cards collected in Lagos. Kano State follows with 4,696,747 permanent voter cards, followed by Kaduna, Katsina, and Rivers State. So we have 2 states from the southern region of the country in the top half of the top 5, and we have 3 states from the northern region of the country. Precisely, they're from the northwestern region of the country. So if you see right there, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, these guys here, these states are the ones with the highest in second, third, and fourth in terms of the ranking of the number of permanent voter cards and the possible voters that will turn out on election day. So the bottom state here, right here, starts with the lowest figure of permanent voter cards and people who can turn up for election. Ekiti State, followed by Bayelsa, FCT, Kwara, and Yobe State. They're the bottom 5 states. But if you look at all through these figures, one thing that is very important, and I must bring to your notice, Laddie, is the fact that, interestingly, we have states like Taraba State with 97% collection rate. That means a lot of people came out in Taraba State to collect their permanent voter cards. I'm going to list some of these states. Taraba, Zamfara, Jobe, and the lowest states, interestingly, are from the southwestern states. Oyo, Osun, Ogun State, and in fact, Ondo State, they have some of the lowest numbers, 71%, 72%, 73% have turnout to collect permanent photo cards. In fact, Lagos State is not doing very well, just about 84%, where we have almost 12 states with over 90% permanent voter cards percentage of collection. That's where we are at this moment. Laddie, what do you make of these figures? Ijoma, are they making sense ahead of Saturday?
Well, Ijoma, you want to go first?
Okay, yeah, they are making sense. But, you know, as we were reading the figures out there, one thing that came to my mind was it doesn't actually tell us how many of those people who have the PVC in their hand will wake up Saturday morning and actually head for the polling unit and then vote. You know, so even that is still question mark. We don't know, Sean.
Absolutely. So, but the interpretation rather of these figures is the fact that these are the number of permanent voter cards that are in the hands of voters.
Which presupposes that that's the absolute maximum number of people.
The potentials.
That's it. That we can expect to vote.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What would they need to do? Because you are talking about liking politics and the politicians. They have a few more, one more day to campaign.
Yeah, no, just a couple of hours, actually.
Exactly. So what extra do they need to do to say, come out and vote?
So what then will be very important is what we've discussed over the past for politicians. I will go to what is important for voters right now. Laddie, this is interesting, isn't it? So if you are a politician, for example, and a presidential candidate, and Ijoma is your running mate, perhaps tonight you need to get together at a coffee table and discuss some of these figures. And these are the reasons. So I told you that the battleground state. So if you look at it, Lagos State, Kano State, Akwa Ibom State, Kwara, and then Adamawa State. So if you are looking at where you can get maximum number of voters, you don't forget that we understand that the president was in Maiduguri, I understand today, and also that the candidate of the PDP was also in Kaduna State. You see the reasons why they are going back to some of these states. In the United States, they will send proxies to some of these states that are very important. So this same thing is happening. They are looking at these figures and how they can get maximum numbers from these figures. For example, if you get a maximum number as a political party, say for example, 4 million votes in Lagos, and when you add 2 million difference between the winner and the runner-up in the last election cycle, it does tell you something that having it all and having a maximum number of votes in some of these states is very, very important. And they are looking to, if I don't win this state, let me make sure that I take out of the possible votes that are there. So winning is one thing. Getting as much vote in these areas are very important. If you put all these figures together, these 5 states are giving you close to 20 million votes. These 5 states alone. Out of the 72 million votes, only 5 states will give you over 20 million. So that is the normal. So for politicians, they will be looking at Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Rivers. They will be looking at other states, but these are going to be very, very important for them.
And if you were a politician, or, you know, as you pointed out, I mean, I know you are not, but if you were a politician, and you had just this little window of opportunity left, and you couldn't go to all 5. You talked about proxies earlier. You couldn't go to all 5 states. But if you were to choose one to go yourself and send proxies to the other 4, given what we know on ground now, where do you think these 2, at least the 2 leading parties, should send their candidates?
It's going to be very important for the incumbent president and the candidate of the APC to go back to his home state. Katsina State, and ensure that he gets a maximum vote. If he gets 3 million votes from his state, home state, Katsina State, that is going to be very enormous for him. If, for example, the candidate of the PDP comes to Lagos and speak to the elitists and the kind of voters, the metropolitan voters that we have in Lagos, that's going to be very important for him also. And look at this, Kaduna and Kano State. Don't forget that Muhammadu Buhari has a very big tie in Kaduna. He has a history in this state, and it's very important. Don't forget also that they have a lot of heavyweights in the PDP in Kaduna State. Don't forget that Kano State also has Kwankwanso here, and so it's going to be important for the PDP to be looking around this area, for the APC to be looking around this area. You know what is happening in River State. You have 2 heavyweights there, the Minister of Transportation and the Governor. They'll be battling it out here. The APC may be having trouble in that state, but when they're looking at figures, this is what they will be looking at, 2.8 million. That will be ringing in their heads and maybe may not allow them to have a good night's sleep for at least for the next 48 hours or so. But altogether, Ladi, one thing is very important, and the interest of voters, we should put that to mind. Beyond you taking your picture of your permanent voter card, just imagine if you had 2 million votes as a difference between the winner and the runner-up in 2015. Imagine if everyone comes out on the day of election, 72 million Nigerians come out on the day of election, it will make significant impact, isn't it, Ladi Ijoma?
It will. It will. I completely agree with you that it would. It will make, and I mean, it's all the more reason why people should come out and vote. We can't say that enough. There have been difficulties. Yes, the elections have been postponed. Many of people couldn't get their PVCs without a struggle and so on. But now the chance is here. It comes once every 4 years. Please come out, take it, go and vote for the candidate of your choice.
I have a surprise for you tomorrow on this board. Ladi, look out for it. I'll keep it. I'm not going to go further. I'll keep it to tomorrow. I have a surprise. We'll break down some figures for you that will blow your mind.
Pleasant ones.
I like pleasant surprises.
Exactly.